Hi, I'm William Grafton with the Grafton firm in Towson, Maryland. I'm a Maryland licensed attorney with over 15 years experience helping people resolve their issues with debt. Today we're going to be talking about bankruptcy myths again. If you haven't seen my other video on bankruptcy myths, make sure you check that out after this. And if you have any questions or want to schedule a consultation after watching the video, please give my office a call or go to our website. So, the first bankruptcy myth that we're going to talk about today is something we hear fairly regularly. I don't want to file bankruptcy because I want to be able to buy a house in a few years. Okay, so let's talk about that real quick. Most mortgages today are written under FHA guidelines. The reason they're written under FHA guidelines is because the mortgage companies don't want to assume all the risk of your mortgage. They want to assign or have that mortgage guaranteed by the federal government. I mean, who wouldn't? I'd like to have my debt guaranteed by the federal government, but that's neither here nor there. So FHA sets guidelines for people to qualify for mortgages. And that's what most mortgage companies use. Now, what do those guidelines say about bankruptcy? There's two things. One, after you file and receive a Chapter 7 discharge, you have to wait 3 years before you can qualify for an FHA mortgage. Now, that number can change, and it has once in the past 8 years. It changed from 4 years down to 3 years. Now, it can change again, so if you're watching this a couple of years from now, the number might be 4, it might be 2, it might be 5. So consult with an attorney to figure out what's the right number now. In a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, the current guidelines say that if you've been in a Chapter 13 bankruptcy and successfully making your payments for more than a year, that's 1 year, you can qualify for an FHA mortgage. So it's even better than a Chapter 7. Another part of that is most mortgage companies are not going to approve somebody who have unresolved debts. And resolving debts through a Chapter 7 or even a Chapter 13 bankruptcy can a lot of times be faster and less expensive than trying to resolve them outside of bankruptcy. Now, that's not to say bankruptcy is right for everybody, but it may be right for you. So the next myth we want to talk about is credit. Now, everybody wants to know what their credit score is and they want it to be a high number. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little secret about myself. Not 12 years ago, my credit scores were in the low 500s. I'd been through a big tragedy and had to do a lot to recover. Today, my credit score is in a range between 815 and 850. Not bad, but it takes work to get there. And had I not been able to resolve my debts outside of bankruptcy, it might have taken me even longer. But let's talk about what bankruptcy does to your credit, okay? Bankruptcy is not good for your credit, and it's going to be on your credit report for 10 years. However, the impact of that bankruptcy on your credit report starts to diminish every day. Now,
start with the impact.
The impact of bankruptcy on your credit report diminishes regularly. May not happen after day one, but for the vast majority of my clients, they have a higher credit score a year after filing bankruptcy than they did before. Now, why is that? Let's think about it. Most people who are coming in to file bankruptcy, they're in credit trouble already. They're either maxed out, or they're late, or they're already been sued. All those things that we just mentioned impact your credit, and they drive it down. And they drive it down every month. Every month you get a new report to your credit bureau report, and it drives your score even lower. When you file for bankruptcy, those new negatives stop. There are no more late payment notices on your credit report. There are no new over limit fees on your credit report. All those things that are driving your score down monthly, month after month after month, they stop. So at that point, that's when your credit score can actually start to heal, okay? And you can start to build a new credit history without having to worry about all of the things in your credit past. Now, the next bankruptcy myth that we're going to talk about is mainly for married couples. We have people come in all the time who are married, but their spouse is doing just fine. They brought debt to the marriage, or maybe they incurred a lot of debt during the course of the marriage, and now they are in trouble. But again, their spouse is not. Even just because you're married doesn't mean your spouse has to file bankruptcy with you. Okay? okay? If you need to file by yourself, that's just fine. Now, if you're living in a household with your spouse, there are certain things that we have to include of your spouse, including, household budget and income information. Not a big deal. It doesn't get reflected on your spouse's credit reports, and they're not coming after your spouse for anything. Don't worry. Just because your spouse's information is included in the bankruptcy doesn't mean that they're going to be pulled into it in any way, shape, or form. They're not filing bankruptcy. It's not showing up on their credit report. As long as your debts are separate, nothing is going to impact them. All they have to do is provide that little bit of information. Now, if you have questions about any of these myths that we talked about, or if you want to come in and schedule an appointment, please just give us a call or go to our website. I'm William Grafton with the Grafton firm. Thank you.